You keep saying you're unlucky, that love just hasn't found you yet, that emotionally unavailable people seem to be the only ones around. But let's be real, that's not what's happening. You're not attracting the wrong people. You're selecting what matches your programming, and that programming didn't come from dating apps. It came from your nervous system, your earliest relationships, your need to survive love that was never stable to begin with. This isn't a dating problem, it's a blueprint problem. Until you rewrite the pattern, you'll keep calling abandonment chemistry and anxiety passion. And you'll keep calling people who starve you emotionally your type. But this time, we're not fixing your taste. We're exposing it. Chapter 1. The people you chase are mirrors, not mysteries. Emotionally unavailable people are predictable. They're always just close enough to keep your hope alive, but never present enough to give you peace. And yet, you keep falling for it, because on some level, this is what you expect love to feel like. You don't chase them because they're special. You chase them because they reflect a dynamic your body already knows. I must earn love. I must stay quiet. I must be impressive, low maintenance, agreeable, soft. I must shrink. This is not attraction. This is identity preservation. When love meant performance in your childhood, withholding becomes magnetic. The more someone pulls away, the more your nervous system floods with urgency. That's not romance. It's hypervigilance. This is what trauma therapist Deb Dana calls neuroception, the subconscious scanning of environments for safety or danger. And if emotional inconsistency was your baseline, you'll mistake chaos for connection. Chapter 2. Your type isn't a preference, it's a trigger. You keep saying, I just have a thing for emotionally distant men. You have a trauma bond with inconsistency. You've built your attraction around dysfunction because that's what your body memorized as normal. According to repetition compulsion theory, the brain seeks out familiar emotional experiences, even painful ones, in an unconscious attempt to gain mastery over them. You're not dating emotionally unavailable people by accident. You're trying to finish the story that started when someone you loved couldn't meet your needs. And if you can just get this one to stay, maybe you'll finally feel enough. You're not in love. You're in a war for validation that was never supposed to be your job to win. Chapter 3. You're not looking for love. You're looking for evidence that you're worthy. You don't want a partner. You want proof. Proof that you're lovable, that you're finally safe, that someone will stay. So you date people who withhold, because when they finally give you something, it feels like winning. But that's not love. That's manipulation training your body to tolerate starvation. What you call loyalty is actually attachment anxiety in disguise, constantly bargaining with someone's silence, waiting for a reward. This is classic intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological tactic used in gambling addiction. It's unpredictable, it's inconsistent, and it makes your brain light up like it's found a soulmate when in reality, it's just stuck in a loop. Every time you get a text back, a compliment, a breadcrumb, you confuse the dopamine hit with intimacy. You start telling yourself they care, when really, they just don't want to lose control over the supply. You. Chapter 4. Why your nervous system confuses intensity with intimacy. This is not about preference. This is biology. Your nervous system isn't attracted to love. It's attracted to what feels familiar, even if that familiarity is abandonment dressed in desire. When you grow up in an environment where connection is unpredictable, or love feels like something that could be revoked at any moment, your nervous system adapts. It learns that being on high alert equals being close to love. So now, as an adult, you meet someone consistent, open, emotionally available, and your first instinct is discomfort. You flinch at kindness. You pull back from softness. You feel the urge to run. Why? Because healthy intimacy doesn't activate your survival response. According to Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory, when the body lives in a sympathetic or dorsal vagal state for too long, fight, flight, freeze, it begins to identify dysregulation as safety. Not because it is safe, but because it's predictable. So when you meet someone who's emotionally safe, your body doesn't register it as love. It registers it as boredom or danger, because it doesn't require you to overfunction, perform, or scan for risk. And that absence of threat feels threatening. You've trained your body to equate anxiety with attraction. And when that anxiety is absent, you assume the connection must be false. This isn't about fixing your taste. It's about retraining your entire nervous system to stop chasing adrenaline and start recognizing peace. Chapter 5. You mistake high effort for high value. You still believe the more effort something takes, the more valuable it must be. So when someone is distant, emotionally blocked, or unavailable, you interpret the chase as worth. Why? Because you grew up in a love economy where your value was measured by how much you gave, not how much you were met. So you became a fixer, a performer, a mind reader. You over-explained your boundaries. You made excuses for red flags. You called trauma potential. And the more unavailable they became, the harder you worked to be chosen. Not because they're irresistible, but because deep down, you don't believe love can be easy. Chapter 6. You weren't in love. You were in proving mode. Let's stop calling it love. You weren't in love with him. You were in love with the possibility that he'd finally see you. You mistook tension for chemistry, withdrawal for mystery, and silence for strength. Every time he ghosted and came back, your body got another hit of false reward. Every time you forgave, you thought it was healing. But it wasn't healing. It was collapse. You weren't trying to build a relationship. You were trying to build a version of yourself he'd finally stay for. It's not about love. It's about chasing the validation you were robbed of long before he ever showed up. Chapter 7. You became addicted to men who need fixing because you don't trust men who are already whole. If he's already emotionally grounded, what role do you play? Because you've built an identity around being the one who helps, saves, softens, regulates. So when someone walks in fully formed, fully present, fully self-aware, you panic. Not because he's wrong, but because he doesn't give you a job. You don't know how to exist in a relationship where your value isn't based on emotional labor. So you walk away and tell yourself, there was no spark. What you really meant was, I didn't feel useful. That's not preference. That's emotional codependency. Closing. The version of you who stopped chasing is a woman most men will never deserve. Let's not romanticize the pattern anymore. You weren't choosing love. You were choosing familiarity. You were choosing survival. You were choosing a role. The woman who waits, who hopes, who earns. But the woman who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg for closure, who doesn't stay to prove a point. She's not healed. She's free. And you'll know her when you become her, when your nervous system finally realizes that peace isn't boring, that healthy love isn't a downgrade, and that being adored isn't something you earn through suffering. She doesn't settle. She doesn't explain. She doesn't grieve what was never capable of holding her. She walks away, not because she's cold, but because her standards are no longer negotiable. She survived what you didn't deserve, but she can't come with you. Because the moment you stop proving, pleasing, performing, the people who were never capable of meeting you disappear. And that isn't a loss. That's the exit wound of a pattern you finally stopped calling love. If this hit, it wasn't an accident. Drop a heart in the comments if you're done performing. If you're ready to stop chasing ghosts and start rewriting the entire damn pattern, subscribe to Gaudi's Vibrations. Not for validation, but because you're finally done begging to be chosen. We don't do softness for applause over here. We do clarity, power, and truth that you can feel in your body. See you in the next one, if you're bold enough.